It's been a busy start to 2020 with so many wild weather events and now a record-setting year for billion-dollar disasters. Adam Smith joining us from NOAA. And can you talk a little bit about why this is historic?
This year so far in 2020, for the first 6 months, as was stated, we have had 10 severe weather events in excess of $1 billion each. And these 10 events have affected more than 30 states across the United States, east of the Rockies, and unfortunately led to more than 80 deaths. This is also a near record pace for billion-dollar disasters during the first half of the year. If you look at the January through May timeframe, but looking at the January through June timeframe, 2020 is in fact tied with 2011 and 2016, but it's still trailing 2017 regarding the frequency of these events.
Adam, what are some of the things that contributed to becoming a billion-dollar disaster?
Some of the things that contribute to the billion-dollar disaster this year were the severe storm events with multiple impacts, including tornadoes, severe hail, and high wind damage across more than 24 states. This year is a bit unusual in the fact that we didn't have a billion-dollar winter storm event or a billion-dollar inland flood event like we did in 2019 with massive Midwest flooding. You
had mentioned that the costly event that we've seen so far this year was that tornado outbreak on Easter Sunday. In fact, we've had at least 140 tornadoes within that, and unfortunately 35 fatalities. And what was it about this event that put it at the top of the list?
The Easter Sunday tornado outbreak was destructive in particular because of the high-end tornadoes. I believe we had 3 EF4s, a dozen EF3s, and the damage from tornadoes is not linear. It's more of an exponential function. So having those very damaging long-track supercells and tornadoes across populated areas really caused extensive damage that was highly destructive to homes, vehicles, and businesses.
And many also recall the rare, strong tornadoes that were moving through Tennessee and devastated neighborhoods in and around Nashville. What made this a unique event, especially with starting with that very rare tornado that moved through parts of Tennessee?
Yes, this was another one of those springtime classic events where we get high-end tornado impacts from very strong long-track tornadoes. And the fact that it happened to go through the Nashville metro area and then to towns east of Nashville, damaging many homes, businesses, and vehicles. In fact, I believe 90 planes and numerous buildings were also damaged or destroyed at one of the Nashville airports. So all of those added up created a $2 billion event during early March.
We had another heartbreaking billion-dollar disaster that was actually at the beginning of the year in January. And during this, we had an outbreak with more than 80 tornadoes, severe flooding, and also significant damage to the Lake Michigan coastline. Was it a combination of all of these different types of things that led to it becoming a billion-dollar disaster?
Yes, for this particular event, we had a high wind, large hail, and a number of tornadoes across many southeastern states, but also up into the Michigan, Wisconsin, and New York area with high wind damage. And along the Great Lakes, also some damage from shoreline erosion and some flooding. And what made this event somewhat interesting is that there was less ice cover over the lakes, which allowed the winds to whip up the large waves and create additional damage. A few additional factors about 2020 is that it is now the 6th consecutive year with at least 10 separate billion-dollar disasters in a row, which is a record. Another factor to look at in the future, the second half of the year, would be the above-average hurricane and western wildfire seasons we're expected to have. Those are forecasted. And traditionally, hurricanes and wildfires in recent years in the United States have been highly destructive and damaging to many communities. So, indeed, we hope that that does not take place like it did in 2017 and 2018, but we have to keep our eyes peeled to the forecast.
Thank you so much. That was Adam Smith joining us from NOAA, and we're going to continue to track those storms for you throughout the rest of the year, and we will update you and let you know if there are any more events that we will add to billion-dollar disasters. For WeatherNation, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garofalo.